avian nephrosis. Avian nephrosis. So uh, means there was some kind of indirect kidney pathology was seen, so it was wrongly named avian nephrosis. So don't confuse with it. The disease is commonly known as infectious bursal disease or Gumboro disease. Gumboro is a place from where the disease was first reported. Gumboro place it was first reported. The family of virus is Birna viridae. Birna viridae. Birna is bi-RNA. B-I-RNA. Birna. Bi-RNA means it is having two segments of RNA. It is having bi-segmented RNA. So it has been named Birna viridae. Genus is AV Birna virus. AV Birna virus, and species is infectious bursal disease virus. IBD virus. IBD virus. There the DNA is double stranded. Oh, sorry, DNA. Sorry, RNA. RNA is double stranded with two segments. Double stranded with two segments. It's a non-enveloped virus. Non-enveloped virus, and because it is non-enveloped virus, it is having very high survivability. It survives in nature for very long time. It has been reported up to 4 months in a farm the virus remains infective and alive. Up to 4 months in a farm the virus remains infective and alive. Host range include chicken and turkey and ostrich. Host range include chicken, turkey, and ostrich. Most susceptible species is chicken at the age of 3 to 6 weeks. Most susceptible species is chicken at the age of 3 to 6 week of age. Underline this, remember this. Hmm? That means at between 3 to 6 week of age, maximum clinical disease is seen, highest pathology is seen. The transmission is transmission uh, is very easy because virus is very contagious and highly resistant. It is very contagious and highly resistant. So horizontal transmission is very common. Horizontal transmission is very common. No vertical transmission. IBD is not transmitted vertically. So mechanical vectors, so not sorry, not vectors, huh? The mechanical transmission by fomites, by farm workers, vehicles, everything, feed and water, feed and water, droppings of birds, droppings of birds, the mosquitoes, the worms, the rodents, animals, birds, mosquitoes, the mealworms, the rodents, the stray animals like dogs, cats, and birds. Everywhere the mechanical transmission is easily possible. All right. The incubation period is 2 to 3 days, and first clinical sign is self vent pecking. The first clinical sign is self vent pecking. Can you hear me? All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. The clinical signs include, so we go to clinical signs directly, that suddenly the flock will start showing the self vent pecking. The, the flock will start showing self vent pecking, where the birds tend to peck their own cloacal region or anal region or hind part of their own body. That means birds start hitting by the beak on their vent, hmm, on their vent, hitting by the beak, and vent appear wounded and hemorrhagic. The vent of many birds, the region around the cloaca, will appear hemorrhagic and wounded, and there may be existence of cannibalism in the flock. There may be existence of cannibalism in the flock. Hmm. There is soiled vent feathers. There is soiled vent feathers around the vent. There is dirt sticking around the vent. There is sticking of dirt. There is whitish watery diarrhea. There is whitish watery diarrhea, anorexia, anorexia, depression, depression, ruffled feathers, trembling, trembling, severe prostration, trembling, severe prostration, and death. Severe prostration and death. The birds appear, the birds about to die appear dehydrated and show subnormal temperature. The birds about to die appear dehydrated and show subnormal temperature. All right, till now?
Sir, incubation period.
2 to 3 days. And first clinical sign is self-vent pecking. All right.
Last line, the bird's about to die.
Show birds about to die are dehydrated and show subnormal body temperature. Means their body appears cold. All right.
Yes, sir.
Morbidity is 100%, but mortality is variable from 0 to 5% to 20 to 30%. The morbidity is 100%, but mortality is variable from 0 to 5 to 20 to 30%. There is a variant reported a decade back, some decade and a half, means 10-15 years back, they reported a new variant, VVIBD, very virulent infectious bursal disease. VVIBD, very virulent IBD, or VV Gamboro, very virulent Gamboro, also they used to call it. VVIBD, very virulent IBD, which is having 90 to 100% mortality in susceptible flocks. If there is no vaccination, birds are weak, management is weak, then there is 90 to 100% mortality in VVIBD. Okay. So we go to pathogenesis. Pathogenesis. The virus infects the young chicks from, say, the second week onwards. The virus starts showing pathological changes. Up to 2 weeks of age, the pathology infection is there, pathology is not there. All right. To 2 weeks of age, because of maternal antibodies and very little bursal tissue, the infection is there, but pathology is not there. Up to 2 weeks of age, because of maternal antibody and very little bursal tissue, there is infection, but minimum pathological changes. Could you note down that point?
Sir, please repeat.
Up to 2 weeks of age, because of maternal antibodies and very little bursal tissue, very little bursa is developed. So there is infection, but minimum pathological changes. All right. This
Yes,
is
sir.
very important point. The virus has affinity towards the virus has affinity towards the proliferating B lymphocytes, the immature B lymphocytes, proliferating immature B lymphocytes. The virus has affinity towards the proliferating B lymphocytes. All right. So therefore, the maximum development of the maximum development of bursa is at 3 to 6 week of age. Maximum development of bursa is at 3 to 6 weeks of age. 3 to 6 weeks of age. So maximum virus replication and pathology is seen at this age. So maximum virus replication and pathology is seen at this age. Okay. Would you understand this point? At between 3 to 6 week of age, maximum proliferating B lymphocytes are available for attack by virus. At between 3 to 6 week of age, maximum proliferating B lymphocytes are available in bursa for attack by virus. Okay. The virus causes necrosis and apoptosis in the bursal cells. Virus causes necrosis and apoptosis in bursal cells. The the destruction of the the uh, the bursal lymphocyte destruction of bursal lymphocytes leads to severe inflammatory reaction and Arthus reaction severe inflammatory reaction and Arthus reaction, that is immune complex mediated antigen antibody complex mediated inflammation and destruction of tissue. Antigen antibody complex mediated destruction, that is actually, you have read the hypersensitivity. Say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
In that hypersensitivity, do you remember antigen antibody complex mediated type 3 hypersensitivity, where antigen antibody complex actually triggers the complement system, causing the damage to tissue? So if you don't remember, just note down. The pathology of bursa includes apoptosis, necrosis, and Arthus reaction. Apoptosis, necrosis, and Arthus reaction, where in ARTHUS, Arthus reaction, there's activation of complement by antigen antibody complex. Activation of complement by antigen antibody complex, which causes severe inflammation and hemorrhages. Severe inflammation, necrosis, and hemorrhages. Causes severe inflammation, necrosis, and hemorrhages. So virus destroys bursa by 3 ways. Virus causes apoptotic death of cells. Virus causes necrosis of bursal follicle. And because of the uncontrolled inflammation, there is Arthus reaction, which spreads the necrosis to whole bursa and other parts of body. Whole bursa and other parts of body. All right.
But please repeat
Which part?
the last part, sir. That virus causes.
Virus causes the pathology by 3 ways. It causes apoptotic death of bursal developing B lymphocytes, necrosis in the bursal follicle, necrosis in the bursal follicle, and also causes the Arthus reaction, which causes complement mediated damage to bursal tissue. Complement mediated damage to bursal tissue, leading to severe necrosis and hemorrhages. Severe necrosis and hemorrhages. So, as the disease progress, there is total loss of the bursal follicle, which is replaced by initially by phagocytic cells, and in later stages by the fibrous connective tissue, in later stages by fibrous connective tissue. All right. There are also inflammatory changes in other lymphoid organs and bone marrow. There are also inflammatory changes in other lymphoid organs and bone marrow. There is you bone marrow you cut down, because otherwise you will confuse with CIAV. Actually, there is confusion regarding that, whether bone marrow is directly just you write other lymphoid organs. There are inflammatory changes in other lymphoid organs, and also Arthus reaction induces muscular hemorrhages, All right. Arthus reaction induces muscular hemorrhages. All right till now? Any confusion? Yes? Okay. So gross findings. The carcass appears dehydrated. The pectoral muscle is dark. With presence of paintbrush hemorrhages. The pectoral muscle is dark and with presence of paintbrush hemorrhages on pectoral muscle and thigh muscles. This is very characteristic. Paintbrush hemorrhages on pectoral muscles and thigh muscles. The intestines show increased watery mucus. Kidneys appear in dead birds. The kidneys appear to have retained urates. These are non-specific signs or less indicative signs. Maximum pathological changes appear in bursa. Bursa shows initial stages. For first 2 to 3 days, bursa is increased in size, almost say multiple times of the original size. Bursa is severely enlarged. Initially, the bursa is severely enlarged, and it may have gelatinous yellowish transudate on its surface. It may be covered with gelatinous yellowish transudate on the surface. The striations become prominent. The bursal striations become prominent, and the color turns creamish. At this stage, the bursa is not only enlarged in size but also increased in weight. By day 5, bursa starts regressing. The gelatinous transudate covering disappears, and it appears grayish, dirty gray. and continues to reduce in size. Continues to reduce in size. By day 8, Bursa is reduced to almost one third of normal size and appears grayish in color. By day 8, Bursa reduces to one third of normal size and appears grayish in color. All right. Could you note down? Yes.
Sir, please repeat last line.
By day 8, Bursa is reduced to one third of its original
Sir,
size.
day 5. Again,
Day
repeat.
5, Bursa starts coming back to normal size, but it appears grayish in color, and the transudate covering, gelatinous transudate covering, is also removed now. However, Bursa continues to reduce in size, and by day 8, it becomes one third of original size. All right. Initially, it was turning creamish color. Bursa is normally white, pinkish white. Huh? It turns creamy color initially with presence of the gelatinous covering. See, I'll just superficially repeat this. Instead of going into the words, you please try to understand. Infected bursa becomes swollen because of edema and inflammation, everything. Infected bursa becomes swollen, and this swelling is not simple swelling. There is also increase in weight of bursa because of severe edema and cellular infiltration. So bursa is increased from normal to 2 to 3 times of size, sometimes even 5 to 6 times. Very large bursa is seen, as large as a large spleen, enlarged spleen. Okay. Then by day 5, the bursa starts regressing. By day 5, you see bursa is coming normal to size, but the color has changed. It is grayish in color, dirty gray in color. And by day 8, bursa actually regresses. It becomes very small. So if I say the pathology in one sentence, there is initial enlargement of bursa followed by a regression of bursa. Okay. Initial enlargement of bursa followed by regression of bursa. This is the normal sequencing. Okay. Some birds may show with enlargement severely hemorrhagic bursa. Some birds may show with enlargement severely hemorrhagic bursa. Severely hemorrhagic bursa, and that small regressed bursa becomes hard because of fibroplasia. Small regressed bursa becomes hard because of fibroplasia. All right. Yes.
Sir, please repeat.
Which part?
So small bursa.
The small bursa becomes hard because of fibroplasia. All right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mhm. See, listen, before proceeding further, uh, uh, this I will be sharing some one more poultry pathology. This atlas by Vegar sir. You please try to read that atlas in combined with the other two atlas. I'll be earlier I have sent you one textbook, one atlas. Everybody got that? Somebody could not get it? Yes? I think everybody got it. Huh? Now I'll be sending one more atlas by Vegar sir, and it is having short description of disease. Short description of disease. Please don't totally depend on that description. Okay. Try to read textbook also. Read that description with that picture. It will clear your concept, but don't totally depend on that. All right. One clinical pathology book also I'll be sending. Okay. Any other subject book you want? Means any other topic books you want? Yes. Can you hear me?
Sir, clinical pathology. Yes,
Clinical
sir.
pathology book I'll be sending. That two books I'll be sending. Any other? And then there will be 4 books on the laboratory animal pathology. All right. Laboratory animal pathology. According to the syllabus, you have to read the diseases from that. Okay, according to syllabus. Because if they give us time, I will try to cover that. If they don't give us time, then that laboratory animal pathology will be declared portion. You will have to complete it yourself. All right. So I'll not do it immediately. I'll do it one by one, so that everybody can gather that. In a single day, things get jumbled up. All right. Any other disease? Any other topic? Yes. Okay. Let us continue with the uh, pathology. The the other part, uh, like spleen, other part like spleen is slightly enlarged with small grayish foci, on the surface. Spleen is slightly enlarged with small grayish foci on the surface. There is hemorrhage at proventriculus gizzard junction. Hemorrhage at proventriculus gizzard junction. This is happening because of presence of lymphoid tissue there. That lymphoid tissue is showing reaction. Hemorrhage at proventriculus gizzard junction, and in uh, VVIBD, VVIBD, in VVIBD, very virulent IBD, the thymus is severely regressed. Thymus is severely regressed. In VVIBD, the bursal lesions are very similar. But there are also severe necrotic and hemorrhagic lesions. But there are also severe necrotic and hemorrhagic lesions in cecal tonsils, thymus, spleen, and bone marrow. Cecal tonsils, thymus, spleen, and bone marrow. All right. In normal IBD, bone marrow is not that much affected. It is affected, but not that much affected. But when it is in combination with chicken infectious anemia, that time we see extensive bone marrow lesions. We will see next later on. All right. Histopathology. Histopathology. There is the extensive lymphocytic necrosis and apoptosis in bursal follicles. Extensive lymphocytic apoptosis and necrosis in bursal follicles with presence of heterophils and macrophages. The bursal follicle is severely depleted, or I should say bursal follicle shows severe necrosis with presence of heterophils, macrophages, and pycnotic debris. necrotic area will show numerous pycnotic cells, cells with pycnotic nucleus, pycnosis of nucleus. All right, and also hemorrhages, and also hemorrhages, also hemorrhages. But later stages, there is severe edema, congestion, and extensive heterophil accumulation all over the bursa. In later stages, there is severe edema, congestion, and extensive heterophil accumulation all over the bursa, all over the bursa. And as the disease progress, as the disease progress, after say 5 to 8 days, there is formation of after 5 to 8 days, there is formation of cystic cavities, cystic cavities in bursal follicles, cystic cavities in bursal follicles with presence of necrosis, phagocytic cells, necrosis, phagocytic cells, plasma cells, and heterophils. Necrosis, phagocytic cells, plasma cells, and heterophils. There is also proliferation of connective tissue. There is also proliferation of connective tissue between the follicles. Between the follicles. Connective tissue proliferation between the follicles. All right? Is it all right till now?
Sir, that cystic cavity part, please repeat.
There is formation of cyst where there was actually the follicle is destroyed out, the debris is removed, and what is remaining behind is an empty space which in histopathology appears as cystic cavities. The bursal follicle is destroyed, leaving behind empty space. All right, called as cystic cavity.
Okay, sir.
Okay, and in those birds which survive, in those birds which survive, there is presence of only fibrotic bursa. There is presence of only fibrotic bursa. Presence of only fibrotic bursa. The spleen shows hyperplasia of reticuloendothelial cells around the adenoid sheath of arteries. Spleen shows reticuloendothelial cell hyperplasia around adenoid sheath of arteries. Lymphoid necrosis. Lymphoid necrosis in the different follicles, germinal follicles, and lymphoid sheath, etc. Germinal follicles and lymphoid sheath will show necrosis. The thymus shows cellular reaction in the lymphoid tissue. Thymus shows cellular reaction in the that means inflammatory cells filtering. Cellular reaction in lymphoid tissue. The other lymphoid organs also show inflammatory changes. Other lymphoid other lymphoid tissue also show inflammatory changes. Kidneys show the presence of cast. In rare cases, presence of cast of the I should say the hyaline cast, presence of hyaline cast and heterophil infiltration in rare cases. Heterophil infiltration in rare cases, and liver shows perivascular infiltration by mononucleocytes. Liver shows minor perivascular infiltration by monocytes. Liver shows minor perivascular infiltration by monocytes. The disease is severely immunosuppressive. disease is severely immunosuppressive. It leads to loss of B cells. It leads to loss of B cells, which causes vaccine failure and increased susceptibility to diseases. Increased susceptibility to diseases. All right. It's a complicated topic, little bit time is required, but anyways, you can read this chapter from the textbook I have sent, The Diseases of Poultry. Very nicely it has been given. Okay. The diagnosis is by clinical signs, the gross and histological lesions. Diagnosis is by clinical signs, gross and histological lesions, the isolation of virus. On chicken embryo, it can be isolated. On cell culture, it can be isolated. Isolation of virus, the ELISA, the RT-PCR, ELISA and RT-PCR. And the disease is to be differentially diagnosed from many diseases, including chicken infectious anemia. The disease is to be differentially diagnosed from chicken infectious anemia, CIA, chicken infectious anemia, and other immunosuppressive diseases. Other immunosuppressive diseases. Okay. Any doubt till now? Any doubt? Yes? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Sir, that the disease is severely immunosuppressive. It leads to loss of.
Vaccine failure, loss of B lymphocyte, loss of B lymphocytes. Okay. Loss of B lymphocytes, and because of that, there is vaccine failure and increased secondary infections. Increased secondary infections.
Sir, kidney shows hyaline cast
And degenerative changes. Hyaline cast and degenerative changes. There's retention of urates also. Retention of urates. Neutrophil infiltration. These are minor changes. Okay, they are not direct, because see, it's a point I have not discussed in the class. The kidney changes are not because of virus replication, but because of swollen bursa. The swelling of bursa puts pressure on ureters and kidney, and thus kidneys are affected. Therefore, kidneys are affected. The swollen bursa puts pressure on the kidney and ureters, blocks them, and therefore kidneys are affected. There is no direct replication of virus in the kidneys. All right? All right?
Yes, sir. Sir, the pycnotic cells.
That is necrosis is going on there. Pycnotic debris, necrosis is going on. Bursal follicles show necrosis.
Sir, you said something about reticulohypoplasia in spleen, something.
The phagocytic cells of the spleen are called as reticuloendothelial cells. Okay. The reticuloendothelial cell system of the spleen and even some other organs is the phagocytic system, and there is hyperplasia of that. Means whenever there is inflammation or there is attack on spleen, these cells become large in number and start removing the attacking the etiological factor. And then such cases, it's a inflammatory response. So in such cases, the phagocytic cells become more in number. So it is described as the reticuloendothelial cell hyperplasia. We start seeing mostly phagocytic cells in the spleen instead of the red pulp, white pulp, and very little amount of the the phagocytic cells present between them. Anything
Yes,
else?
sir.
Yes.
Sir, severe necrotic and hemorrhagic lesions in bone marrow and one more organ. What you mentioned, sir?
In bone marrow and severe necrotic in VVIBD.
Yes, sir.
Cecal tonsil. Cecal tonsil. See, all the lymphoid organs, wherever the lymphoid tissue is there, in VVIBD they will be affected. And where are the major aggregates of the lymphoid tissue apart from bursa, spleen, and thymus? It is seen in bone marrow and cecal tonsils. All right, bone marrow and cecal tonsils. So even they start showing hemorrhagic changes, which a normal IBD will show very minor, unnoticed changes. All right, and most of these changes are associated with the uncontrolled Arthus reaction. Actually, uncontrolled Arthus, the thymus lesions, the muscular hemorrhages and all that, these are uncontrolled, this antigen antibody complex. All right, the major site of RS replication is only B lymphocyte, and that too proliferating B lymphocyte, not mature B lymphocyte, proliferating B lymphocytes. The more the number, the more severely bird is affected. Shall we move to next disease? At least we can
Sir,
start it. Yes,
sir,
yes.
sir, in pathogenesis, you said about at between 6 weeks of age, B lymphocyte something.
No, not this is the most important point. That between 3 to 6 weeks of age, the bursa starts developing. And what is bursal development? Bursa produces B lymphocytes. Maximum production of B lymphocytes is taking place in bursa between 3 to 6 weeks of age. And this is the point when the virus gets maximum cells to attack. And that is why the maximum age of susceptibility is 3 to 6 weeks of age. The maximum bird susceptible to IBD is 3 to 6 weeks. All right. Although it does not mean that in later stages IBD is not seen. Yes, IBD, I have personally seen in IBD up to 12 weeks. All right, with little bursal tissue was remaining in layer birds, layer bird flock. I have personally seen once in my lifetime. I have also seen it. And I have reports that similar things occur, but that is not normal. That is not normal. Okay, you can note down very clearly that
Yes,
before
sir.
three
Thank
weeks
you.
of age, before 3 weeks of age, very little bursal tissue is there, and maternal antibody is there. So the clinical disease does not develop. Between 3 to 6 weeks of age, lot of bursal development is there, follicle development is there, B cell development is there. So many immature cells are available to attack. So virus develops. After 6 weeks of age, bursa regresses. Bursa is regressed. So at that point, if IBD comes, the very little developing tissue is present. Very little dividing B lymphocytes are present. So the infection is minimum. And also host is now resistant. So B cells, the immature B cells are less and host is resistant. So the pathology is minimum after 6 weeks. So susceptibility comes down. Bird can control the infection. All right. Understand this point?
Yes,
And
sir.
those
Yes,
birds
sir.
which survive the IBD, those birds which get infected between 3 to 6 weeks of age, between 3 to 6 weeks of age, will either die. If they do not die, then they are severely immunosuppressed. The B lymphocyte associated, antibody associated immunity is minimum. B lymphocyte associated, antibody associated immunity is minimum. So vaccine failure starts coming up. So other secondary diseases start coming up, and flock is always sick. So those birds also die very soon. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.